Marvel Rivals is a first-person shooter where players team up and utilize the unique power sets of Marvel's greatest heroes and villains to save the universe. But what would action figures of these unique designs look like? Let's check out each character and pair it up with its closest action figure counterpart. Hey y'all, and welcome to Carbon Scoring, the best place for comics history and action figures. Universes collide as Doctor Doom faces off against his 2099 counterpart in a battle for universal domination where heroes and villains from across the multiverse must come together, and it is up to you to stop the Dooms using a combination of characters from 3 categories. Vanguards. These are the tanks of Marvel Rivals, packing massive health pools and abilities that suit fighting on the front lines, protecting allies, and taking up space. Duelist. Varied, damage-focused characters whose main job is to apply pressure to the opponent and pick off key targets when the opportunity arises. And Strategist. These Marvel Rivals characters are the support characters, provided healing and other buffs to allies. That said, all of the characters can hold their own in combat. Rivals crafted brand new designs for each of these characters, some traditional, some not so much. So let's see if we can pair them up with existing action figures, starting with the Incredible Hulk. As a Vanguard, Hulk has high HP, but fatal damage will return him to Bruce Banner, and you need to amass enough gamma radiation to revert back. It's kind of like having an extra life of sorts. In the game, Hulk is massive, so I picked the biggest Hulk figure in my collection, the Marvel Select Incredible Hulk from 2008. At 10 inches tall, it towers over all the other figures. Captain America, of course, has tremendous defensive capabilities thanks to his trusty shield, but his Freedom Charge also provides extra health and movement speed to nearby allies. His costume leans into a more high-tech armor than his comic counterpart, so I have paired this with Mezco's 112 figure that has a similar helmet design and an overall more armored military look, capturing some of that initial Ultimates design by artist Brian Hitch, but still remaining distinct. Doctor Strange has tons of tricks up his sleeve, including his Cloak of Levitation allowing him to fly, and the Pentagram of Farala, which provides for team teleportation. He ditches the classic bright comic colors of Steve Ditko's original design, so again, I'm leaning into the Mezco version of the Sorcerer Supreme with this sleek black modern costume, which still maintains the overwhelming arrogance of Dr. Stephen Strange. Groot is a true tank in the game, and his expansive thorn lash and ironwood walls provide significant protection over large areas. Equally massive is this Groot action figure from Marvel Legends. While it's based on his MCU appearance, it certainly captures the essence of one of Marvel's earliest characters, one who even predates Fantastic Four issue 1. Magneto is an ideal Vanguard character with his powerful shielding capabilities, including metallic curtain, metal bulwark, and iron bulwark. While we're used to seeing Magneto in his classic red costume, in Rivals, he wears a stark white suit, so the obvious choice was to use the House of X Magneto from Marvel Legends. This version of the Master of Magnetism from the Jonathan Hickman storyline is a pretty good match for his Rivals counterpart. Penny Parker utilizes her SPDR armor to set multiple traps for her enemies, including the immobilizing cyber web snare and the damaging arachno mine. Lucky for us, the SPDR Build-A-Figure is one of the closest matches of the action figures we have with the new design seen in Marvel Rivals. Plus, it's just a ridiculously cool-looking figure. Thor is the Vanguard of choice for aggressive players, bashing foes with his Uru Hammer Mjolnir before casting Lightning Realm to strike opponents at a distance. His bearded visage and wraparound helmet, along with his detailed armor, gave me the opportunity to pull out one of my least used Thor action figures. This early Hasbro example from all the way back in 2007 and the Blob Build-A-Figure wave. Our final Vanguard figure is Venom, whose high mobility from his venom swing and his symbiotic resistance ensure that you can restore a huge amount of health. Another behemoth of a character that deserves a massive figure, and the Monster Venom Build-A-Figure is perfect, all the way down to the huge logo that creeps up around his shoulders. Hey, if you're digging this combination of Marvel Rivals and action figures, give the video a like, and subscribe to Carbon Scoring, because we're bringing you the best in comics history and action figures every week. The first of our Duelist characters is none other than Black Panther. T'Challa can dash towards his foes to swipe them with his claws, while his Panther's cunning helps him deal higher damage at low health. To match the Vibranium-influenced Rivals design, I combined the golden claws of a recent Legends figure with the necklace from Shuri on the Walmart-exclusive Vibranium Panther to get the closest to the video game look. Black Widow uses her Red Room rifle to inflict massive damage on her enemies, and, no surprise, she works well when teamed with Hawkeye. Her Rivals design is a high-tech cross between her comic and MCU look, so there really isn't a great equivalent in action figure form, so let's just sit back and enjoy the super shiny suit on this Marvel Select version of Natasha. Hawkeye is the perfect character if you want to fight from a distance. His wide array of arrows each have unique abilities, and his look seems to be based on his appearance in Ultimates 3 as designed by artist Joe Madureira. So I've gone with this modern Hawkeye from 2013's Rocket Raccoon Build-A-Figure wave. Hela can cast her Soul Drainer spell to momentarily stun enemies before her Night Sword Thorn inflicts maximum damage. Her look in the game is very reminiscent of her comic appearance, particularly that Jack Kirby designed headdress. Thankfully, Mezco replicated this beautifully with their MCU version in their 112 line. Iron Fist's playstyle is all about utilizing his chi and rushing a target. If you can utilize his Living Chi ultimate, you'll notice a huge boost to your speed, attack range, damage, and survivability. As one of the biggest design departures in the game, I would love to see this guy in action figure form. In the meantime, I'm just going to have to be satisfied with this fabulous Mezco version that was clearly inspired by the immortal Iron Fist comic by Ed Brubaker and artist David Aja. Iron Man is one of the most versatile duelists in the game. His flight provides high mobility, and his repulsor blast and unibeam can make quick work of your opponents. While this armor retains the Shellhead's classic red and gold, the triangular unibeam and blue power highlights define this look. While the amazing Yamaguchi Revoltech Bleeding Edge armor misses the triangle, the shiny metallic finish and blue highlights create a pretty great match. Elania Rasputin excels at getting close to her adversaries, using portals to teleport into the enemy backlines and wreak havoc. Her Soul Sword is effective at close range, but that leaves her vulnerable to attacks. We have really only ever gotten one figure of Magic, but thankfully, the Rivals designers knew a good thing when they saw it, and her game design closely mirrors her comic look. Moon Knight's kit allows him to knock enemies into the air, pushing or clustering them to prep his offense. A well-timed Moonblade or Hand of Khonshu will likely hit several hostiles at once. His armored-up appearance in the game is closely matched by his unique design in the Mezco 112 series, which combines plastic with soft goods to create a phenomenal action figure. The Submariner can summon a Monstro spawn, basically an octopus-shaped turret that can be buffed via Wrath of the Seven Seas, making for some of the most unusual and fun moves in the entire game. Rivals wisely eschewed the weenie bikini comic look for something more majestic, and the Namor figure from the Void Build-A-Figure wave certainly captures this look well. Psylocke should ideally strike adversaries from the shadows with her Psychic Stealth ability. This is complemented by her Psionic Crossbow's cooldown reduction and bonus health from her Winged Shurikens. I'm not even gonna bother with a comparison, as her rival's version looks more like a blue-suited Cammy from Street Fighter than any version of Psylocke we have ever seen. Scarlet Witch probably needs to get nerfed. You can simply hold the left mouse button for her Chaos Control attack, which deals sustained damage. Then press the right mouse button at regular intervals to fire off her Chitonian Burst spell. There really isn't an action figure equivalent of her anime-inspired look from the game, but since I never felt this Family Matters 3-pack fit in with my comic display, it'll do fine here. Spidey requires more skill from the gamer to be really effective than any other character. He really can do all a Spider can. He's quick and agile, but doesn't pack quite as much of a punch as some others. I am very particular about my Spider-Man action figures, and this design is a hybrid of comic Spidey's mask, Andrew Garfield's suit, and Ben Reilly's Spider logo across the chest. We've gotten Gamerverse Spider-Man figures in the past. Would you be interested in this version of the wall crawler? For those of us who are relatively new to squad-based shooters, Squirrel Girl is a great duelist pick. All you need to do is shoot burst acorns, grenades that bounce around, and you're guaranteed to hit someone due to the area of effect blast. Oh, and her ultimate summons is a horde of squirrels, so what's not to like? The fact that we have a super accurate Marvel Legends Squirrel Girl figure is simply icing on a super cute cake. Peter Quill's single target damage with his basic element guns might not seem very effective. However, if you find yourself surrounded by multiple combatants, his blaster barrage should help whittle down the crowd. The Rivals team maintained the face mask Star-Lord wore during his comic Annihilation storyline days, so this figure from roughly that same time frame should do the trick. What makes Storm one of the best heroes in Marvel Rivals is her weather controlling abilities, which empower her teammates as well. Tornado increases the movement speed of her allies, while Thunder increases damage dealt. I hopped on the Wayback Machine to pull out this over 20-year-old Storm figure from the Toy Biz days to show Aurora in her black flowing robes. Putting the shooter in first-person shooter, Frank Castle has a shotgun and rifle for close and medium range engagements respectively. Even better, his culling turret skill can easily rip through a crowd. This design is ridiculously oversized. I consider using a Crossbones figure to try to capture the size of his shoulders, but instead, I decided to focus on the skull facial paint and used this Marvel Legends Punisher to try to replicate that specific design element. The Winter Soldier is a viable character for team players, thanks mostly to his bionic hook ability. Once you pull in a target, your allies can pummel them with immunity. To their credit, Marvel Rivals knew there really wasn't much to improve upon from Steve Epting's original comic book design, so they didn't, and that's why this Legends Bucky works as well as it does. Despite being considered a duelist hero, Wolverine actually excels in both offense and survivability. His Berserker Rage increases damage both whenever he attacks or takes hits. He also has the Undying Animal skill to mitigate damage, and his regenerative healing factor allows him to self-heal at critical points. While his ludicrous proportions seem like his most obvious feature, I was more interested in the decision to go with an unmasked animated head. So much so that I dug through my Wolvie box and found this figure from the X-Men Evolution cartoon. I think it works. Adam Warlock is our first strategist hero. His Soul Band is an amazing spell that heals both himself and an ally over time. He can also revive himself via Regenerative Cocoon or revive his teammates via his Karmic Reveal ultimate. While a brand new classic Adam Warlock figure was just announced for the Marvel Legends line, I think this modern version more closely resembles the Rivals look. Cloak and Dagger have a fairly unique playstyle that involves swapping between two characters depending on the situation. As Cloak, your abilities primarily heal teammates, but if you need to go on the offensive, then you have to switch to Dagger, whose abilities amplify the damage that enemies receive. We've had these figures in the Marvel Legends line, but this seemed like a great opportunity to showcase their criminally underrated Marvel Select figures instead. Jeff the Land Shark is the definition of fun but annoying. His ultimate, it's Jeff, allows him to swallow enemies, but you might also swallow your allies accidentally. While your pals won't take damage, it can ruin their plans when they're dealing with their own rivals. I cannot find my Jeff figure, and I looked in every possible box. So, yeah. Loki's mystical missile and regeneration domain can heal buddies. What sets him apart from the other strategist picks, though, are his illusion-based spells. What is no illusion is this classic Marvel Legends figure from Toy Biz that truly captures the evil yet royal nature of the God of Mischief. Mantis can consume life orbs to provide HP regeneration to allies. There's a bit of resource management involved though, as you'll need to land critical hits with your normal attack in order to regain your life orbs. I really should have gone with the Build-A-Figure Mantis, as that one has a more green-based color scheme, but that box was way in the back and I didn't feel like digging it out, so go ahead, dislike and unsubscribe. Please don't do that. Rocket's support abilities include a healing orb and a beacon that can revive teammates while spawning armor packs. His rival's design is fantastic. Not only does he look like the most adorable trash panda you've ever seen, they put the Rocket back in Rocket Raccoon. And while this Marvel Legends figure does a decent job of capturing the look of our furry friend, he needs more Rocket Pack. This is my first introduction to Luna Snow, a K-pop idol with ice-based superpowers. She first appeared in a 2018 video game Marvel Future Fight and then debuted in the comics a year later. Fun fact, Luna was co-created by Bill Roseman, Marvel Games executive creative director, who just happens to be high school friends with my best skateboarding buddy Clay. Clay told me if I ever ran into Bill to tell him, well, I can't really repeat what he told me to say, but hopefully at this year's San Diego Comic-Con, I'll get a chance and not get arrested. So what do you think of my choices? Some were more spot on than others. And how would you like figures based on Marvel Rivals looks? Let me know in the comments. And as always, for the best in comics history and action figures, subscribe to Carbon Scoring.